Shri P.V. Mithun Reddy ji.
Thank you, ma'am. At the outset, I would like to congratulate our Honorable Finance Minister for presenting this budget during this time of the pandemic when the world is going through difficult times. And we have seen economies also crash, but she has shown a lot of grit and she led with a lot of exemplary leadership during this pandemic period. So we are really thankful to you, ma'am. And we should also appreciate that to combat the recession, she has shown, she has struck a fine balance between fiscal caution and government spending. But even before, during the lockdown, our country was going through difficult times. This is evident from the fact that the economic growth was down to 4.19%, and the tax revenues for our country were down by 3.69% compared to the previous year before the lockdown. So it is, we request the central government, so states are also going through equally difficult times. In the true spirit of cooperative federalism, we request the government to help the states also, because it is it's effort of both the center and the state, so to put the country back on track. So before I go to my observations in the budget, I would like to talk about the issues of my state. Especially Polavaram is a very, very important project for our state, and our state is heavily dependent on the completion of a Polavaram project. We request the government to approve the revised cost estimate at an earlier date. We are thankful for the commitment given by the Honorable Finance Minister and Water Resource Minister. They have given an oral commitment also. We are grateful to you, ma'am, for that. But anything without the cabinet approving it, it will not be fruitful. So it is, the Polavaram project is going on a very brisk phase right now, and Polavaram project is slated to be completed next year. So we request the government to act fast on this and approve the revised cost estimate. And coming to the other issue of medical colleges, so post bifurcation, we don't have tier 1 cities in Andhra Pradesh apart from Visakhapatnam. So not much private people are coming forward to set up super specialty hospitals. So our Chief Minister has come forward to construct 16 new medical colleges and super specialty hospitals. So we request the central government to help us out, because when there's no private people coming in, there's only option is a public sector investment in that. So even if you see pro rata compared to the other states, the number of medical colleges in Andhra Pradesh is very, very less. So we request the government to take care of this, because we have seen in the pandemic how important it is for medical department to be equipped properly. And coming to Andhra Pradesh Civil Supplies Corporation, for rice distributed under PDS, there are pending payments pertaining to 10% withheld amounts of rice subsidy from 2013-14, with this amounts to 1,599 crores. And even Pradhan Mantri Garib Ann Kalyan Yojana, which is 1723 crores. And even in the current year, we have 960 crores pending for the third quarter of financial year 2020-21 pertaining to advance claims. So we request the minister to take note of this and help release these funds at an earlier date. And the Nivar cyclones devastated Andhra Pradesh. There were central government teams which visited our state during November and December. So they have made some assessments. So we request the government to release 2,275 crores financial assistance entitled under NDRF norms. So lot of damage has been done during that. We lost lot of lives, lot of property, and the state, the Nivar cyclone created havoc. So we request the government to help us in time, because any delay in helping us with the funds for a Nivar cyclone will not be of much use in the future. So, and coming to Manrega, madam, in Manrega, a lot of BPL people are dependent on Manrega, and there are like more than 3,000 crore pending payment for material component. So a lot of works are pending, and especially now, like there's more, after this pandemic, Manrega is really, really important for the survival of the BPL people in the state. So we request you, madam, to release, initiate action to release the pending payments in Manrega. And in the Reorganization Act, we were given a backward district grant, that is for the 7 backward districts of Andhra Pradesh, 50 crores per year per district. And for the last 2 years, we are entitled for 700 crores, which has been pending for a long period. We have requested several times. So we want the Honorable Minister to take note of this and release it at an earlier date. And Madam, in the floor of the House, while state was being bifurcated, because of unviable finances, we were promised special category status. So it is our demand that special category status be given to our state. It's been, the period of AP Reorganization Act is for 10 years. Now it's been 7 years since the act was initiated. There's just 3 years left. We want the government to give us special category status. It is not that we're out of the thing we are asking. It was there in the NDA manifesto in 2014. Every person who campaigned in Andhra Pradesh said that they will grant a special category status. Now we are going through difficult times, madam. The finances of the state are such that what revenues we are getting is enough for salaries, pensions, and the basic running of the state. We are just surviving on borrowed finances. So we request the central government to help us grant special category status. And madam, coming to the issues in the budget, so like I was talking about true cooperative, to the spirit of cooperative federalism. So if you see during the 13th Finance Commission period, 32% was allotted for the states in the divisible pool of taxes. And we were getting around, the states, all the states put together getting around 28% share of gross taxes. And if you see subsequently during the 14th Finance Commission period, the states got only 35% of gross taxes, even though the divisible pool of taxes, the state share was 42%. And subsequently, the cess and surcharges, which are not part of the divisible pool of taxes, have been increased. And this is unfair, madam, because if you see during the 15th Finance Commission period, though the states are entitled for 41% in divisible pool of taxes, we are getting just 30% in gross taxes, which is 5% less than even the 14th Finance Commission. We are at a loss. So the Honorable Finance Minister and the government should take note of this and help the states. It's not just Andhra Pradesh, madam. Every state gets to lose because of this. And I would also bring to the notice of the Honorable Minister regarding TOR, which was given for 15th Finance Commission. In the TOR, it says that 2011 population census will be taken for states like Andhra Pradesh, which implemented very strict population control measures. We are at a loss because earlier it was 1971 census. So if you see, if it is based on population, we get to lose. So some sort of arrangement has to be done so that we are not at loss for controlling the population, which was then a very important thing. And I would also like to bring to the notice of the Honorable Minister that in some of the centrally sponsored schemes, there is a sharing mechanism, like 60% is given by the center, 40% by the state, or 80-20, 90-10, it's various schemes. So in these projects, madam, I don't blame the center or I don't blame the state. There is a lot of communication gap. They write a letter, there are a lot of procedures to be followed, like 10, 15 people need to give for each and every bill. So because of this, there are a lot of delays in execution of the projects. If you see per year escalation cost, it is 6 to 7%, madam, for any project which is happening. And apart from the interest cost, what I'm talking, if the project is delayed by 2 years, it's going to be more than 10% loss for the government. So I request the finance minister to take a note of this and just calculate what is the loss per year. It's not just Andhra Pradesh or anything. All the states put together, all the central schemes, the delays which are, why we need to pay the escalation costs, why we need to bear the interest, because I am sure it's going to run into thousands of crores, which is a loss, which is a national waste, because this amount should be put for developing the infrastructure, and it should be efficiently used for capital investment. If you see national highways, they do not have such obstacles because the whole amount, whatever amount is being used for constructing any infrastructure is borne by the National Highway Department. Our Honorable Minister Gadkariji very proudly told in the House that we have completed in time, we have broke records in completion of the roads. We really appreciate that, and we wish the same model is employed for the other things also. We request the minister to whatever amount you want to allot for doing a project, let it be completely responsibility of either the state or the center, madam. This will avoid all deadlocks, and it will ensure that faster completion of the projects is there, and we will save thousands of crores in escalation costs and interest. And I would also like to bring to the notice of the minister that there are a lot of, we are supporting a lot of entities in this during this time of the this recession and crisis. We are giving a lot of stimulus for the various companies to get out of the bad phase. But if you see there, both from the center and the state, there is a lot of payments pending for various entities. And the issue is, once it is billed from the state or the center, the entities need to pay the GST. One way we are talking of supporting them, waiving off their withheld amounts, waiving off their performance guarantees. The other way we are saying pay the GST even before the amount is realized, which is a drain on their working capital. So this is a very important issue. You can't expect, when the government is not paying, you can't expect the private people to do. If it is pending from a private party, it is agreeable. But if it's pending from the government, the business community should not be harassed on this or should not be penalized. Only after actual realization of the payment, the GST should be paid. I request the Honorable Minister to take a note of this. And Madam, I would like to know what is the rationale or what is the USP behind selling profitable government ventures. So because there is a lot of confusion in the country, we're seeing a lot of people asking us why the government is selling profitable entities. This is objectionable because the government, if it's selling loss-making ventures, it is acceptable, man. But when you sell profitable entities, the government should spell out the reasons why it wants to sell profitable entities. And we also strongly oppose the privatization of Visakhapatnam steel plant. It is a sentiment of our state, madam. It's not just for sentiment, because if you see, to build such an organization, it takes years and years. We can't sell it off like that. If we allot mines for Visakhapatnam steel plant, if we rework the finances, it is going to be a big asset for the country and for the state, madam. So it has also another advantage. It has a very huge land bank, and it can be leveraged to waive off the debt and to turn it around. So we request, with folded hands, we request the government, please do not privatize Visakhapatnam steel plant. It is our request from the state. It's across the party lines, everybody is demanding this. So even the state BJP has went on record in the media that Visakhapatnam steel plant should not be privatized. So with folded hands, we request the government, please do not privatize Visakhapatnam steel plant. And coming to the other issues, madam, so the GST was introduced with the sole aim of one nation, one tax. It was introduced to simplify things. But if you see for the small and medium enterprises, the big enterprises are fine with whatever it is. The small and medium enterprises, there is a bit of fear psychosis. There is a lot of confusion. This is because, if I'm not wrong, I would like to tell that within the last 4 years, there have been more than 900 amendments to the GST Act. So this is leading to a lot of confusion, and the small players, especially, they are really scared of GST, because we are happy that the GST revenues have gone up. We are seeing in the media monthly revenues are close to 1,10,000 crores. It is good for the country, but we should encourage the small and medium players, and we should see that they are not intimidated, or they are not willing to join the GST. So I'd like to just read out 2-3 points in this things which are problematic. It's like in section 281B of the Income Tax Act 1961 and section 83(1) of the GST Act 2017. It has been proposed that in case of tax evasion due to various defaults, the tax officer now has the power to attach the assets of the company, including the bank account. Apart from that, all those people who are involved with the transaction, even their properties and bank accounts can be attached. There's a lot of ambiguity in this. There's a lot of confusion, and people are a bit scared with this act. And if you see also under income tax, earlier only retired judges of High Courts and Supreme Court of India were part of authority for advance ruling under Income Tax Act. Now the proposed change allows Chief Commissioner level officers to be members of authority. So when third person is there, things are fair. But when it's in the department, the chances that they might be biased, and only justice is only one way. So we request the government to rethink about this act also. And even in case of, as per the proposed changes, in committing a mistake in calculating excess tax under section 7512 of GST will result in the department charging it as self-assessment tax without issuing any show cause tax notice. This is a problem for the small and medium enterprise because they do not employ big corporate chartered accountants to take care of their accounts. They do it on the self, and they are really scared of this. I think this needs to be simplified. Similarly, the tax officer can even cancel your registration if they find out difference between figures of GSTR 1 and 3B. We understand that collection of taxes is important, but it should not be like, it should not choke the business entities. It should be like a win-win situation for both of them, and even penalties also. Under section 129 of the GST Act 2017, the proposed changes states that more than 100% can be levied in penalties, which is really high. It is really scaring business entities. And before I end the speech, Madam, I would like to, I would request the government and the Honorable Finance Minister that we are a young state, 2 years old. Our Honorable CM is putting every effort to run the state efficiently. We have saved costs in power, we have saved in various things. So we request support from the central government. And his governance is evident from the fact that he's been ranked the 3rd best chief minister in the country. And AP is first in ease of doing business. We are doing everything possible to do things right, madam. And even the people's blessings are there. Recent local body elections, we have won 98% of all the municipalities in the state, and we have won 98% of the panchayats also, madam. This is people's verdict. But I request the central government to support us, to support the state, to help us come back on track. And we wish that the Honorable Finance Minister and the central government will support us in every possible way. Supporting this budget, I end my speech, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shri Vinayak Raut ji.
धन्यवाद सभापति महोदया। करीबन 100 से भी ज़्यादा गवर्नमेंट के